follow House of CB on Instagram or you have a Pinterest account, you must have seen this dress a couple of times. Okay, so this dress is the Milkmaid dress. You can also call it a Cottagecore dress. I got my inspiration from House of CB. So in today's video, we are going to go through the process of making this dress, the pattern making, the cutting, the sewing, everything in this video. All right, so without further ado, let's get this party started. For the top part of my dress, I drew a rectangle of 11 inches by 15. So 11 inches is the measurement of the top of my breast to the belly button, while 15 inches is half of my bust circumference. Okay, so 11 by 15. So now I am going to draw a line in the middle. So you find out the middle of the rectangle and draw a line in the middle. So now the length of my breast is 4.5. I am going to go to the top of the rectangle. So that's the length of my breast there. I am going to go to the top of the rectangle and I am going to mark 4.5 inches on both sides. And I am going to connect both marks, making a straight line. Alright. So from the top of my rectangle, I am going to draw a straight line of 12.5 on both sides. So that measurement is the width between two inside shoulders. Okay, I am also going to draw it at the bottom too. So I have 12.5 and I am going to connect them to form a straight line. So the width between our two new lines is 12.5. From the middle point, I move up about 2 inches. And from each side of our new lines, I am going to mark the middle on both sides. After that, I am going to connect the 3 points to form a rectangle. Now I am going to curve the bust area. So this part is going to be my bust area. So I actually took it inwards to make another line. So from the top of that new line that I made, I am going to mark 1/2 inch outward. Just like you guys can see, I am going to do that for both sides. And from the edge of the rectangle, I am going to mark 1 inch down and I am going to connect to form a rectangle right there. Now we are going to go to the bottom of the top part and we are going to mark 1/4 of our waist circumference on both sides and we are going to connect to form the top part of our dress. Now this part is totally optional. I am just marking my nipple to nipple measurement to form a dart in the middle. I added my seam allowance and I am going to cut it out so that we can draw our back pattern. Now I want you guys to understand that the back pattern is just half of the front pattern plus sewing allowance. I don't know if you guys understand that. Okay, so the back pattern, the way I did mine, it is just half of the front pattern plus seam allowance or zipper allowance. Yeah, that's it, zipper allowance, because we are going to add an invincible zip at the back of the dress. Okay, so do not forget to give this video a thumbs up if you have been enjoying it so far, and do not forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Now I am going to add seam allowance to the bust area and I am going to cut it out and we have our top part. Okay, so adding the nipple to nipple measurement is totally optional. The dress has this divide or this dots at the front side, so I want mine to have that too. I am going to add seam allowance to the sides that I didn't add seam allowance because I actually cut it out. So when I get to the fabric, I am going to add seam allowance. So now we are going to move over to the bust. For the bust area, I marked 5 an inch by 9.75, which is quarter of my bust circumference times 1.3 centimeters. So I converted that to inches, which gave me 9.5. On one side of my rectangle, I marked out 3.3 inches, which is the length of my breast minus 1.18 inches. And at the bottom, I marked the middle of the rectangle and I connected that. After connecting, I am going to draw a curved line in that area. And for the other side of the rectangle, I am going to draw another curved line to meet up with the previous curved line. Now I am going to add my seam allowance all around and I am going to cut it out. For the bust area, we need 4 pieces. 2 pieces from the main fabric and 2 pieces from the lining fabric. For the sleeve pattern, I cut out 12 inches, which is the length of my sleeve, how long I want my sleeve to be, by 22 inches. Now 22 inches is 4 times the width of the shoulder to the armpit, okay? Shoulder to armpit measurement 4 times. Now because I don't want to waste my paper, I cut out 11 inches, which is half, which is 2 times the width of the shoulder to the armpit. So now I am simply marking the middle and I am going to take the top pattern to mark the armpit area, and from this new line, from this new point, I am going to mark 2 centimeters in order to create an hole for our elastic, because we want our sleeves to have elastic in them. So from this new point, I am going to connect to the top part of the sleeve like so, and I am going to draw a curved line in order to curve out our sleeve. From the other side of the rectangle, I marked 2 inches. This should be the circumference of your arm if you want it to be tight or loose. So I went ahead to connect it to the middle point, the first mark we have, the first mark at the middle point, and I am also going to curve that line. Okay, so this should be the circumference of your arm, like I said earlier. If you want your sleeve to be tight or loose, this is what is going to determine. Okay, so after that, I am going to cut my sleeve out. So for the sleeve, we need 2 pieces, all right, and I am cutting this on fold. Remember, I used 2 times the width of the shoulder to the armpit instead of 4, so I am cutting it on fold. Now for the bust tie area, I marked 16 inches by 1.5. That was what I cut out. Although 16 inches came out way too small because I wanted the rope to be longer, but yeah, and I feel like it's easier to just sew this and turn it over to the right side, but I didn't want to do that, so yeah. So for the bust area, remember I said we need 4 sides, so I am going to place both the main fabric and the lining right sides facing each other, and I am going to sew at the top. So after sewing, I am going to flip both sides together, and I am going to top stitch by 1/2 inch in order to create a fabric hole for the bust tie. After sewing, I am going to use a safety pin to insert this bust tie in the bust area, and I am going to hold it at the end so that it doesn't come off.
Back from stitching this part together, and I actually stitched two, like both of my bra cups or sides together, because I don't have a serger or a weaving machine or a machine that can do a zigzag stitch. But if you have that, you can serge this point, or if you have a machine that can do a zigzag stitch, you do that. But I totally forgot about this part right here, guys, because this part is going to be exposed, and I totally forgot about it. What have I done? I feel like I'm just doing the wrong thing. So guys, because this part is going to be exposed and I forgot to stitch it, I just folded it like to the other part and I stitched it so that this part is going to look nice when it's exposed. And this part is mostly going to be in ruffles, so I don't know, I'm just going to leave it like that. So now I am going to go to my sewing machine and I am going to sew with the longest stitch so that I can gather it together and form my bra cup.
So while you are making your ruffles, you want to make sure that the length of the bust area, the measurement ends up being the same as the bust area on the top body, so that we can connect them accurately. So for my front bodies, I am going to complete it, just sew them right sides facing each other. Remember, this part is totally optional, you don't have to do this. And I am going to take my bust area. Now I am going to take my bust area and connect it to the bust area of the top. Now I want you guys to note that I am going to connect it, but not all the way to the end, okay? All the way to the middle, but not all the way to the end. At the end side, I am going to leave half of an inch right there. I hope you guys can see that. I am going to leave half of an inch and I am just going to connect the bust area. I am going to pin them together, take it to the sewing machine and sew. Now that I am back from the sewing machine, I am going to take my back panel, both of them, and I am going to connect them right sides facing each other and sew. So on the wrong side of my sleeve, I am going to mark 4 centimeters on the curved area, okay? I'm going to mark 4 centimeters down all around on the curved area. So I am going to fold twice in order to make a hole for elastic. I am going to fold once to hide the rough edges, and I am going to fold the second time to end up on that line, okay? I'm sorry because this video is fast. I feel like it's fast. I made it like that because I feel like the video is way too long, so in order to make it shorter, I had to put most of it on fast forward. All right, so I am going to sew on that area. After sewing, I am going to fold my sleeve in two, right sides touching each other, and I am going to sew Now I need you to note that we are not sewing the entire sleeve short. Remember our armpit area where we are going to connect to the bodies. We are not going to sew that part. Now guys, from the end of the sleeve, I am going to draw another line of 4 centimeters inside. Remember, this is the wrong part. And I am also going to fold it in just like we did to the first part. So after that, we are going to sew all around, but we are going to leave an opening so that we can put in the elastic and bring it out back. Okay, so after sewing, I left the opening. You can leave your opening to be like 4 centimeters. All right, so now it is time for me to fix in my elastic. Now the length of the elastic depends on how tight or how loose you want it to be at the shoulder area and also at the arm area. Okay, if you want it to be tight, fine. If you want it to be loose, fine. But this is elastic, I advise you make it tight. Remember to pin your elastic at the edges so that when you take it to the sewing machine, it doesn't go back inside. All right, so now I am going to sew the elastics, hold them to the fabric. I am going to sew this part, the elastic, together, and after that I am going to close the opening I made. Now it is time for us to connect our sleeve to our top parts. All right, so from the back side of the dress, I am going to leave half an inch. I am not going to connect all the way because we are going to use that to add the lining of the top part of the dress. All right, I don't know if you guys understand, but I am going to show you. All right, so you see that part, that is the back part of our dress. I am going to leave about half an inch. because we are going to use that to connect to the lining. So I am going to do that on both sides. I am going to pin and I am going to sew. So after attaching my sleeve to the top part of the dress, I am going to connect the lining also, right sides touching the wrong side of the dress. I don't know if you understand, but I am going to fix the lining so that it is upside down facing me, and the main dress is also upside down facing me. So I am going to connect from the middle all the way to the end. All right, now remember those half an inch that we left at the bust area and also at the back of the dress. We are going to use that to connect the lining now. All right. So after I am done attaching the front part of the lining to the front part of the dress, I am going to flip the dress to the right side and I am going to sew them together. If you have a serger, you can use a serger at this point, but now I am going to sew the dress together, both the lining and the fabric, at the side and at the bottom in order to close it.
So guys, in order to cut my skirts, I folded the fabric lengthwise. So this is actually unfold, this side is unfold, so I folded it lengthwise. This is the half circle skirt. So I marked my radius. So from here is my radius. So I'm marking it from the side that is unfold. Then this side is where the seam allowance would be, where my zipper will be at the back. So I marked my radius as 9, half an inch seam allowance all around. Then from here, from this point, I went down to mark the length of my skirt, which is 35 inches, and I took it all around my fabric. Okay, so let me take you guys closer. I don't know if you guys can see the red mark right there. Whew. So now I am done cutting my skirt.
So now I am going to connect my skirt to the top part of the dress, and after doing that I am going to add my zipper. I am going to add my zipper in a separate video. I didn't do that in this video because I feel like this video is long already, and if I do that it is going to be way too long. So because of that I did it in a separate video. So if you want to know how to add an invincible zipper with a regular zipper foot, I am going to leave a link to that video in the description box below so that you can watch it. Okay, so I also forgot, or I miscalculated my slit. My slit is 16 inches, and because of that I am going to wear the dress and mark the slit on my body. It also came out nice though, it is not as bad. What do you guys? So after that, what is left is for me to hem my dress all around, and the dress is finished. So you all, this is the end result of my dress. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comment section what you think, and also let me know if this is something you try. And when you do try it, do not forget to use the hashtag DIY with Juliet on Instagram so I can see what you make and repost it. Okay, let me know what you think, guys.